Thanks, everybody, for joining us for this Gadget Tips and Resources meeting. I'm Candy, and I'll be trying to guide the meeting today. So everybody just chime in. If you've got things to say, please don't be shy. We've got a ton of stuff to cover, so let's just get to it. The first grouping or the first subject title we're going to go over is the gadgets. So does anybody have anything that they'd like to share?
Do you have the spreadsheet, Candy?
I do. I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, maybe let's go down. Is Marnie here on the call yet?
Yeah, is Marnie? I didn't see Marnie.
Okay, I don't see Marnie. Maybe
She waved.
Yeah, she's there.
It says me.
there. Okay, great. Let's do Marnie's then.
Okay, Marnie, what do you have?
Marnie, do you mind if we put your first name on your window?
Oh, that's fine. I had, yeah, that's fine.
Oh, there's Marnie. Yeah.
Marnie. I didn't see the name.
Did I spell it right?
M-A-R, yeah, that's fine.
Got it.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about three things. One is thickener, food thickener for drinks and liquids such as soups. And what I've discovered is that it does matter which thickener you use. Because first I just thought, that they were all the same. And I just got this cheap one from the store. This was what they had available. And it's made with modified food starch. And I put it in water and it was just unpalatable. I just couldn't take it. So it delayed using a thickener for a long time because I just thought this would really reduce quality of life. And so then I talked to the speech pathologist came over and she had some recommendations. And also I had gotten some sample packets of a thickener that happened to be packaged and from England. It was kind of expensive. But then basically what she had recommended, she had recommended a brand, I think Robin is familiar with it, Simply Thick, and it comes in liquid or I believe powder. And what I found is that the key ingredient that you want to look for that I think is useful is the xanthan gum. And so here's one, it's called Dysphagia Aid that I got from Amazon, and it comes in smaller, or this one's a 400 serving package. But in any case, I think, and there's another one called Nestle Resource Clear. And sometimes the word clear is important because that suggests that it's not the starch. But if you get a product based on xanthan gum, it stays clear and it's palatable and it's not as grainy as the modified food starch kinds. So it's very simple. It comes with a scoop and directions, and you just put in the amount that it says, and it has different directions for different thicknesses. And then you stir it up and you let it sit, or you stir it for a good time, like 30 seconds. And then you let it sit and then keep stirring it so that all the heaviness doesn't just stay at the bottom. And then eventually you'll find that it thickens up. And it sort of depends on what kind of drink, on how long it thickens up, but it thickens up pretty quickly and you can test the consistency. And so I think it really helps when people get at that point when they're coughing a lot, especially on thin liquids. And for my mother, it was thin liquids that caused the problem. And then you just kind of go from there. There is an article that I read about thickened liquids. They do potentially, decrease quality of life. And it's interesting that it doesn't really quench your thirst when you drink a thin liquid. So I do give my mother free water as well. And she can manage it. And the speech pathologist said not to use a water bottle, but we do, and she handles it actually better. So it's a combination of the thickened liquids and free water to keep her hydrated. So that's my first product.
Okay, and if I could just interject. So I'm putting in chat the names of the products, and we're keeping track of everything, and everybody will send out the email of our notes, and of course the recording will be available. So I put the Dysphagia Aid product that Marnie mentioned and the name Xanthan Gum. And the product that Marnie said that I had mentioned is also a gum-based product. It's called Simply Thick. And it comes in a box of these little packets. They're 1 ounce packets of gel thickener, gum-based thickener. And you either use 1 packet if you want it honey, excuse me, honey thick, or if you want it pudding thick, then you use 2 packets. I think it's a 1 ounce packet for every 4 ounces of product. So if you want it honey thick, so and I find these very handy to use. You can also buy a jug of the Simply Thick gel thickener, just as you can the Dysphagia Aid. So that's very handy.
Did you want to continue on my other 2 items?
Could you wait maybe? Let's have
Sure.
more people, or you decide, Candy. I'll let you decide.
No, that's
Your
okay.
meeting.
Yeah, if you want to, if you think we ought to move on and see, does anybody else have anything they'd like to share? We're not going to, we'll just let people talk about whatever then they're, instead of moving through.
I think you can go through the
Yeah.
list. Let's see who.
This was Gadget. So that was Marnie. Marnie, how about your U-Step walker? Do you have you guys used that? And has that been helpful for you?
It was incredibly helpful. So the U-Step Walker, they have a website where you can watch videos and see how it works. And we did use one for my mother when she was walking, which was for about 1.5 to 2 years. And it's a special walker that's weighted on the bottom. It has a wide base and a weighted bottom, and also the default position is brakes on. And so you use one of the levers, either one of the hand levers, or my mother had a shopping cart model, and to release the brakes. So you press the lever and then you can go, so that when you release, then it's automatically braked and stable. So it's helpful for people where the walker tends to run away from the person, or the person with freezing, or when you find that someone is just kind of unstable on a walker. It's very helpful. It has an adjustable wheel resistance also, so you can turn up the resistance if it's too loose and getting away from the person. And it's very stable. It's kind of heavy to, it's not as easy to cart around as some of the lighter walkers, but it is very stable. It doesn't completely prevent falls, but it is harder to turn over.
Yeah.
So
Having that default brake is nice. I mean, that's really, yeah, that sounds like it's a really good feature to me, because that, as people get less mobile in their hand strength and all that, it's better to be in a locked position than just letting the thing run away. For sure. So, and then you had another one too, the pivot disc. Did you have that there to show?
Disc, I have a pivot disc. So there may come a time when your person can still bear weight and stand up, but they can't really take a step transfer from bed to wheelchair, etc. So this is a pivot disc, and you put it on the floor and the person's feet on it, and then you put one foot on it also for stability and guidance. And then it's a turntable, so that you can just kind of help pivot them without having to take a step. You can just turn them into the wheelchair or the toilet, or wherever you're transferring them from the wheelchair.
Okay, great. Yeah.
Just a question, does that seem very stable when they're on it? I know my mom has a lot of falls and she does a lot of freezing and stuff like that, but I'm wondering, does the pivot, does it still feel secure for the person that's on it?
So one key is that they have to be with a person.
Right.
So, and you put your foot on it, and along with their feet. And so you put one foot on it, so you have it stopped when they're, and then you bring them up, and then you push your foot in either direction to turn it. It
Oh.
is important, like, for example, if it's under their feet on the toilet, I move it away, because if she tries to stand up by herself, then she's unstable. So
Right.
it's true, you want them, you don't want it in a place where they're going to be alone and standing up on it.
Okay.
But it's very easy to kick out of the way,
Mhm.
and to just kick out of the way, or you push one way or the other. They also make one with a handle. And the other thing is, you want one wherever you need it. So we have 4, one at the bed, one in front of the toilet, one in front of the sofa, and one with a handle to bring in the car.
Okay. Do you put that on also on the seat? Like when they're getting in the car, can you put it on the seat to turn them?
We haven't needed to, because on vinyl seats, we haven't really had that much of a problem turning her.
Okay. Okay.
The
But
ones,
yeah.
the ones that sit in the car seat are still a turntable, but they have a cushion on top. So that
Oh,
when you're
okay.
sitting in the car, you're not sitting on something hard.
Right. Okay. Okay.
Okay, all right, great. Those are really great tools for everybody to see. So does anybody else, let's see, we got, is Margot on the line? Do we have Margot? Are you
I
here?
haven't seen Margot yet. I'll just briefly talk about the gate
Oh, the gate
belt.
belt. Okay,
So there are a lot of different kinds of gate belts, and this is the kind our family used. It's a long strap made with super sturdy cotton. It's woven extremely tightly, and it has a buckle at one end, and in general, this is how they are. And for my dad, we strapped it around his chest, his upper chest, and then I would have one hand in the back of the belt at his back. I would have one hand there just so I could move his chest back and forth as needed. And if he was kind of teeter-tottering to one side, I'd be able to, with my hand, right him. And so usually I had one hand at the back of the gate belt, and then one had the other hand maybe on top of his hand on the walker or something like that. And I found this gate belt to be very handy for monitoring somebody as they're walking. And it didn't always prevent falls, but if my dad did start to fall, I was able to bring him down more slowly with the gate belt. So you can kind of guide people's body, and you can either do it around the torso as we did it, or at the waist like a regular belt would be. And again, there's tons of different kinds, but this is the kind that we used.
okay, great. Yeah, that was, we used that a lot too. That gate belt was, and especially with the falling, that was, it just lets somebody just slide down, which is a lot easier when it does happen. So anyway, group member Cindy asked, people that are on the call, which SUV cars are easy to get somebody in and out of with mobility issues? Her car is a Cayenne, and it's the seat is too high and the door is too small. So does anybody have like a good vehicle suggestion for Cindy and the rest of the group?
I myself got a new Nissan Murano, but it still was difficult because my mom we would actually have to put a stool in front of so she would have to step on the stool so that we could get her high enough on there. I would get in the car, my daughter would lift her legs and I would pull her from behind. But then my daughter got a Nissan Sentra, and my mom seems to get into that much easier.
Oh, okay, good.
And out of. So unfortunately, I don't know about the SUVs, but I know the SUVs are just always just a little bit too high because that's all I've had with her. And it's always been a little difficult.
Okay.
I think it depends on how long the person's legs are that's
Yeah,
having
that
difficulty
has a
getting
lot
in
to
and
do
out of
with
the
it, too.
car. So I think you might be able to get away with sort of shopping and, go see what sorts of cars are on the lot and try a few. It would be exhausting though for the person that has Parkinson's. So maybe get their inseam and find a friend with the same inseam to go shopping with you.
There you go. That's a good idea. Yeah.
It's the thought.
Okay, great. All right. Well, thanks for that.
Also, when you're getting in and out of the car, a lot of cars have a handhold,
Mhm.
and encourage them to reach for that handhold, pull themselves up a little bit.
Yeah.
And always, and if they have to go up, start with the inside foot first. But on that handhold, and you may have to guide them to whether the handhold is over the door or on the window frame.
Yeah.
We also use that little handle. I don't know if you've seen them where it hooks into the door jamb.
Yeah, that's on the spreadsheet list, Candy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know, I got one for my dad and he didn't like it because he had to take it out before he could close the door.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Yeah. I've never seen those, so I don't know how they work. Do they just, you do take them off and on then?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
they-
And also the other thing is too, depending on what type of car it is, some of them, it can feel like it goes in there really well and there's no jimmy to it. But some of them you put them in and there's just there's play, which
Yeah.
obviously is not good, but it's still something for them to hold on to, but you're holding on to them. So,
Okay. All right, great. Okay, so I guess Margot hasn't joined us yet. I'm looking for Keith. You had a standard bed cane to talk about?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Hello.
Hi.
While I can either share my screen and link to the website, but I don't have any good like photos to show people what it is. What do you folks recommend?
Okay, I think
I can
Roland's
give the
gonna-
link.
Yeah, there's a link
Okay.
there in the chat that people can
Yeah,
open up if
okay.
they want to.
So if you click on the link, you'll see pretty much what it is, but it's a piece of plywood that slips under the mattress with some belts on it that you strap around to the bed frame, and then it's like a little hook cane on the side of the bed, this black thing. And Atsuko found that to be very useful. She said, and it's not even clear how much she actually uses it, but psychologically, it feels a lot more secure. So before we got that, she always wanted me to pull her up and get her out of bed. And after we've got that, like changed overnight, she's never needed me to get her up out of bed. So that's my empirical definition of success. They're about $80. It's a little tricky to install. The directions have some subtle points. It's like it has to be a certain distance and the mattress has to be a certain thickness and it has to be oriented a certain way. And if you're not reading the directions carefully, you can install it incorrectly pretty easily.
Mhm.
You have a picture or something to look at it?
Could you, do you see the link in the chat? Standard.com, bed cane.
If you click on that, it'll bring up a picture of it in
Yeah.
a new window.
The right hand of your screen.
Well, you can get it from the notes. I see Mindy's taking notes, so that's wonderful.
And that's, yeah, so everybody know that this is being recorded and then, and the notes as well will be on the BSN website. So if you feel like you're missing something, don't worry about it because it's going to be there on the website. Okay, so now Pat H was going to talk about undercushion sofa grab bars, but I don't think she's here. I think they're very similar. We had those and they're very similar to that, the thing that Keith just showed, the cane, the bed cane. It's the rails that just go under the mattress and I don't have any pictures of it, but it's a regular bed rail that's supported by the weight of the person in the mattress and they can, the patient can pull themselves up with that. We had those and they were great. Yeah, and very simple, you just put it under the mattress and, it really was great for us. So Bob used those for many years before we got the hospital bed. So another helpful thing. So
Similarly, there would be a pole that's attached to the ceiling and the floor.
what that is it undercushion sofa grab bars? That's all I'm looking at. So it does have a
Yeah.
bar.
But to the, a similar usage would be a
Okay.
pole that goes attached to the ceiling and
Right.
attached to the floor that people
Okay.
can pull up on
All
and
right.
help themselves stand up. That way they can grab all the way up and all the way down.
Mhm. Okay, great. Yeah, that's another good one. That was on the list here too. So,
My father, who didn't have Parkinson's, but he had all kinds of mobility issues, he put that by the toilet. So that's how he got in it up and down off the toilet.
with the
Grabbed
bar,
onto that bar, that
Yeah.
vertical bar.
yeah, yeah. How hard, do you have any idea how hard those are to install? Do they have to be like screwed in, or how stable are they?
My brother dealt with it,
Okay,
but he didn't complain that it was hard, and it was certainly stable. So
okay,
I
It's a-
assume that it's not a huge deal, but I haven't done it.
It's a
okay,
tension bar, so I put it in myself and it's a little cumbersome, but basically you get it standing up and then they have a little wrench that you use to turn and then the
Mhm.
bar expands until it's held in by tension.
Okay, all right, great. Okay.
We have,
Is that
We have a
Marcia?
bar
Is that you
also?
by chance?
is
Oh,
that,
excuse me, Marcia, is that you on the iPhone? Oh, I think you're muted. Let me unmute you.
It's Anna.
Oh, Emma, okay, I'm sorry.
No
I'm looking
problem.
For one of our speaker volunteers.
Okay.
Sorry, Candy.
No worries. And so we talked about bed rails because that's basically what, I brought up. And then, how about, has anybody had any experience with sensor bed alarms or chair alarms? I know Robin's got some information, but does anybody else have anything to share? I think she's going to get it.
I have a bed alarm here
Okay.
that is quite large.
Oh, that is.
I also had a smaller one that was about this size, and it had a magnetic clip. So I would clip the one end to his night clothes, and then when it came unfastened from the magnet, it would make the alarm.
Okay. Did you have some false, like if he turned, could he pull it out and not?
He didn't seem to have problem with turning and rolling, but he did always want to get up without waking me. And so I was much more comfortable when I was awakened when he got up to go.
Right, for sure. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, so that the chair, if there's a alarm for the chair, it'd be basically the same thing, right? Robin, do you have one of those or?
I also have this company, and I'll put it in the chat, smartcaregiver.com. They make both sensor-based chair alarms and bed alarms. And this bed alarm is quite large,
Wow.
so it could go under the person. And the nice thing about this one is that it's wireless, and you set it up, very easy setup to interface with this monitor, and it somehow wirelessly detects that there's no more pressure on that
Okay.
pad anymore, and then the alarm goes off on this monitor device. So I'll put it in chat as well.
Great if you have teenagers too, I guess. I just was a thought, right? Okay,
Robin,
yeah,
I
you
guess,
can relate to me.
I guess one advantage of the wireless is that you could keep the monitor base in a different room if you needed to.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, you're right.
The pads do have a lifespan, so some are rated for 1 year, some are rated for 2. So eventually there is a battery in the pad that can wear out, and so you might need to replace the pad, but the same chime unit will work.
Okay, good to know. Okay, so I'm not seeing Pat was going to share, but she's not here. Is she, Robin?
No, maybe you can, maybe Denise, I think you
Yeah.
added this to our chart. The video baby monitor with audio.
Oh, yeah, I'll put a link up for the chat. One of our support group members uses a baby monitor that has a camera as well as the audio. And she really likes it because she said that it has a couple different lenses, so you can get a 180-degree view of a whole room and just leave it in one place, or it has a narrower lens and you can like aim it in a certain direction. And she was really liking it. It's, let's see if I can find it in the list here. It was called Infant Optics, and
Mhm.
she has the DXR-8 model. I didn't find Infant Optics as having their own website when I looked it up, so I just found a page on Amazon, and she did say that they've had that baby monitor for over a year, maybe 2. So there might, Infant Optics or another brand might be better, but she really does like that one. So I'll put the Amazon link that I found for it in the chat.
I've got another one
Yeah.
that works
Sure.
well. This is by Cloudbabymonitor.com. And you don't actually buy a monitor. What you do is you download the app on your iPhone, and you can download the app on another device. I put it on an iPad, and I can set the iPad in let's say it's in the bedroom, and it allows you to either through your Wi-Fi system for free in your home, you can listen to and see visually, you can monitor what's going on there, and it works very well. And then for a very small fee, I can't remember what it is, I haven't used it for some time, but for a couple bucks a month, you get one that actually will connect onto the internet. So if you had to actually step out of the house, when I was using it, there were times where I had to take the dog for a walk, but I could actually see Sue real time in the bed, and I could hear her even if she started making noises. You pick up the audio. It also enables you to talk back, which I discovered freaked Sue out, so I didn't do that. she didn't know where the hell I was.
The voice of God.
But anyway, so it literally didn't cost me anything to have the without the internet connection fee, because I had an iPad and I had an iPhone, and it works very, very well.
Nice.
What's the name of that one?
It's called Cloudbabymonitor.com, and it says VIGI on the logo on it.
Okay.
But Cloudbabymonitor.com shows up here on my iPhone when I look at it.
Okay.
That's a good one, Chuck. Thanks.
Yeah, that's a real good one.
Denise?
Yeah.
I just wanted to say I have that baby up. The
Oh, the
you
same
just
one as
talked about.
Pat?
And I've got mine at Target. I researched it on Amazon, but Target does carry those.
Cool.
And it does have the ability for me to talk to him from another room. So same thing, where's that voice coming?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I really like it.
Yeah.
And the other thing I have, you were talking about bed alarms. I have one of the, and I don't have a picture of it, the elderly bed rail that you can put on the upper part of the bed. And I attached from our camping gear, which we no longer use, I put a bear bell on it. So if I don't hear him on the baby cam, I can hear him grabbing the bar, and that bear bell will ring. Works great at night also.
Yeah, then he knows he's busted.
He
Right.
is busted.
Gets back into bed really quick, right? Okay, thanks for that. And then Diane, you had a lap buddy from Alamed.
Oh, that's a different Diane. So
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was Diane W. It said.
it's a different Diane W.
Uh-oh,
Our
okay.
Diane has two N's and this Diane just has one N.
Okay.
I'll put what it is basically it's an inflatable, like it's kind of in a U shape and it inflates. And so it's soft, very cushiony. And when somebody is seated in a chair, particularly a wheelchair, it's not an active restraint. So it doesn't hold them down, but it's enough of a pressure and enough of a visual reminder that they're supposed to stay in the chair, that it keeps people seated so that they're not standing up to go walk away. And maybe if they need to use a walker to get up out of a chair, maybe by having this sort of soft restraint there, they'll be moving around the soft restraint and the caregiver or aide can see the activity and know, oh, I need to help this person stand up. So it's a really cool idea for a non-physical restraint.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great. I'd never heard of that. Okay, so we've got that done. Okay, so Margot, you're up if you're on. Do we have Margot here? I don't see her either. She was going to talk about that riser remote controlled lift for getting someone off the floor.
Yeah, I'll just put it in chat. So
Yeah.
it's a kind of an expensive product.
Yeah, it
It's
is. Yeah.
a $2,000 product, so it's
Yeah.
pretty expensive. It's I think called Razor or Riser. I'm not sure which. It's from Norway, $2,000, and she showed it to us one time at a support group meeting. Basically, if her husband falls on the floor, she uses this device to amazingly get him up off the floor. It's really a neat thing. Very expensive though at $2,000, but cool if you can afford it and if your family member does a lot of falling.
Yeah. And always know, I know this was in the tips section, but we called the fire department, the non-emergency fire department number. A few times I couldn't get Bob up, and they're not doing much in Burlingame. So they, we're always here in like within a couple minutes, and, we're great. They send the young recruits in, the old guys kind of stand around doing nothing. The young guys are in there picking them up, but they know how to do it, not to hurt the patient. And, so it was always very helpful too. So that's another resource that we all have.
One of our group members suggested putting the non-emergency number to dispatch in your cell phone, so you don't have to hunt it down every time.
Yeah.
We actually, the EMTs in the fire department, they've visited my mom's house way too many times, but they actually suggested to us to get, and it's on Amazon. There's actually two of them. There's one that's like, it's a gurney, it's flat. So if they're on the floor, you can, get them on the gurney. It does take about 4 of us to lift and put her on her bed. But we've used that now since, those times we don't have to call the emergency department. They also have one that has like, it's almost like a seat. Like if she's in a sitting position almost, you can also, and that's just takes 2 people to lift her up.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So those are on Amazon also.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Put the second one, could you put it in the chat? Could you find it online?
Yeah, and is that soft, Tiffany, the chair one, kind of like a sling?
Yeah, it's actually just like the gurney that's plastic. It folds up and it's really small. So when you open it up, it has like one handle on the bottom and then one handle here. So there's 2 people. So
cool.
It's really helped us a lot.
Very cool.
Great. Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you for that. Okay, so with Denise, are you going to talk to us about the Liberty Lift standing aid?
Oh, yeah, let me get a picture of it. It's essentially, it comes in a couple of different designs. Liberty Lift has a unique design, and it's 2-handed. So one person on this side, one person on this side. So if somebody is on the floor or on the couch and they're having trouble getting their center of gravity forward so that they can stand up, you have them hold on to it and you hold on to it, and then you just support them. They pull against it, and so they can get their butt up off the chair. I'll
Okay.
put a picture of it in the chat. I had no idea that anybody made such a thing, so I thought it was pretty cool when one of the support group members mentioned it.
Okay, awesome. Got it.
Liberty Lift standing aid.
Okay.
I don't know that a picture will show up in the chat,
Okay.
but this link has a this link has a picture.
Okay. There it is.
Buylibertylift.com. And on Amazon, there are a couple different designs of this type of a product that they might be cheaper. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, so we also had from Marcia, and you can maybe just put the link up there, Robin, the lift seat, the powered toilet lift seat. I looked at the pictures of that. It did look pretty interesting. So that would have come in very handy, actually. That's a good one. If it works, it'd be worth it, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Robin, you're going to talk about super pole with the bar or trapeze.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we some people kind of mentioned this already, but the idea of having a pole. There are a
Yeah,
couple of
that's
different
true.
kinds of poles, and the kind that we used was called the super pole. And I'll put it in the chat here. Let's see. And it, as Marnie was saying, pretty easy to install. It's a tension pole, goes from the floor, and it has a plate at the floor and a plate at the ceiling. And it could even be tilted, like if you have a tilted roof, it can go from floor to ceiling that way with the pole in between. And you can get them with a handle that comes out from the side, or you can get it with a trapeze that would come down from above. And it's a great, very sturdy device and relatively easy to install. Super heavy though. So when you're done using it, you probably want to get it out of your house pretty quick, because it's very heavy, and if you trip over it, it's trouble. So, but they're great. Super poles are really terrific items. And somebody else recommended a stander pole, and I will put that in the chat as well.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same thing. It
Yeah,
stands.
I think so.
And then we also had here these undercushion sofa grab bars, which that's kind of gone over that. Probably very similar to like the bed grab bars, same thing.
Yeah, I think same thing.
Yeah. And we talked about bed rails and then alarms. Okay. And we talked about cameras. All right. So I guess we can move on here to the getting in and out the standard car rail. We did, or car handle. We did talk about that. The old garbage bag trick. That's the one that I put in there. That's what we used, and it's cheap, easy, and you always have it available. It's just put a plastic bag on the car seat, and it makes it really easy to turn the person. And obviously, comfort wise, they don't even know it's there. So that always came in really handy for us. Somebody else here, Susan, put up the beaded car seat cover. That would actually probably work as well. It's something that's a little bit smoother, and you could probably just turn somebody really easily with that. I don't believe she's on, is she? No.
No, I didn't see her.
Yeah. So, and now moving on to the gadgets with for hygiene and incontinence. Is Marcia here? Do I see her?
No, Marcia recommended a bidet from Brendel. I'll put that in the chat. She was a big fan of bidets and found that one brand that she liked a lot.
Okay. And then Robin was going to talk about a a bedside urinal. that-
Yeah, this is, as you might expect, it's just a plastic urinal, super helpful if you're a guy, not
Right.
quite as helpful if you're a gal.
No.
But they can just go on the bedside. And this one is a super cheap one that I just kept because just for sort of display, show and tell purposes. But you can get them that are spill proof. So a cap, you can put a cap on, and even if the cap wasn't on solidly, or even if your family member hit it and it dropped on the floor, it wouldn't spill. So I think the spill proof kind would be very handy.
And I know we got them at the hospital. I mean,
Yeah.
hospital,
Yeah, you can get them anywhere, Amazon.
came
has
home
them
with
all
those.
over
Yeah.
the place.
Yeah.
Has anybody heard or seen on TV? I just recently saw it called the Pure Wick.
Mm-mm.
It's for female
For
incontinence.
ladies, yeah, I noticed ads.
And
for
it was
that.
really interesting to see how it works and how it keeps, because my mom gets chronic UTIs because she has to wear, feminine pads and stuff like that because of it. So that creates the UTI problem.
Mhm.
So I can put the link in there. That was something I was going to possibly consider getting for her, but I thought I was going to read up more on it.
Okay. All right, so so the unisex disposable urine bag, Robin, is that
Oh, Denise, do you have a,
something? Okay, so
I can show one.
I loved this idea because they're unisex, they're disposable, they seal up to keep the pee inside. And I was thinking, I need some of these for when we go on really long hikes. I think like if you've got little kids, these are not just for elderly people.
yeah,
So the product that we use in our family is called Travel John at traveljohn.com.
Yeah.
It's a bag. It's a sealed close, and you just can open it up. And I've used it to pee in when I was on a long trip and I couldn't. It was
full
on.
disclosure.
Yeah, I was on. Yeah, full disclosure. I was on Highway 5 from it was stop and go traffic on Highway 5, and we were miles away from the nearest rest areas or gas station or anything. So I used it, and I had a family member get sick in my car one time, and I was so glad I had these. So I keep
Yeah.
a couple of them in every vehicle I have, and every family member's vehicle. And so you just use it, and I think it feels like there's some kind of a gel or
Yeah.
solution in the bottom that sucks it all up basically.
Yeah.
And then after you use it, then there's a little seal strip here, and you just fold it over and seal it up. Super easy, and no smell or mess or anything. Just
But so you can still use it while the car is moving, or do you have to stop? I mean, is it like you have to stop the car, right?
I wasn't driving either time.
Right.
Fortunately.
Well, no, but I mean, as a
Visual.
female, I mean, you would have to it wouldn't be the same.
Get into a certain position.
We were in stop and go traffic, so we weren't. If we were moving, we weren't moving very far.
Okay,
The-
but I guess,
my-
okay. Well,
My
I'd have to-
family
yeah.
member who vomited, the
Well,
car
that'd be very
was still
helpful.
moving. Yeah, so
Yeah.
this is
So what's that called again?
Travel John. Like John, the person's name, Travel John. Travel.com. I'll put it in the chat, but we like this one a lot. Oh,
I
Denise,
put the link in the chat, and there are other brands on Amazon too that are
tons.
similar. Yeah.
Okay, great. All
Can,
righty.
can I ask a question about depends?
Sure.
Depends for men. It seems like my husband says that they leak, and then he has to discard them. And a lot of times in the morning when I wake up, there's like 5 or 6 depends in the wastebasket that don't have a lot of urine in them.
Hmm.
So I don't know if it means that he's not using them right, or that anybody had experience with them leaking.
Hmm.
Yeah, all the time.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So, and Diane, why don't you speak? I see you nodding your head.
Well, I think maybe you don't have the proper size. And then in addition, there is another pad that can go inside the men's Depends. It's almost like looked like a Kotex pad that would fit inside, and that might help.
What's that called?
It was just I don't remember. It was
think
so
they
long
might-
ago.
I
Incontinence
have
Aid.
one here, just, yeah,
Yeah.
just like a menstrual pad, and this one's designed for men especially. I'm not sure what makes it a man's size or something, but there's a big old piece of tape here on the underside, and it would just stick in the bottom of any kind of Depends or Incontinence Brief.
So what's it called?
It's super handy. I'll look it up for you.
Okay.
Boys,
I don't see a name on here, but
boys pads,
yeah.
BOYSE.
Or I've seen some called booster pads. I mean, that's
Yeah.
a generic term. And some are flow through, so they'll absorb what they absorb, and then the rest can still be absorbed by the Depends. So you can look up booster pads for Depends.
And I think it probably makes a difference as to whether you're sleeping on your stomach or on your side or on your back, as to where that booster pad would be fit into the Depends.
Oh, he just says he doesn't like to wear them during the day because they puff up in the front. But
Oh.
he likes to wear them at night. So I don't know if anybody else had that experience, or is that just his imagination?
Could be his imagination.
Yes, he does have quite an imagination.
If you're not seeing much urine in a soiled Depends, I'd say it's his imagination.
Mhm.
And have you tried a condom catheter? That's, I think, next on the
Yeah,
list.
that's the next topic here.
Condom catheter.
I will
Yeah,
get-
it's something you put in on the penis or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just like a condom. Let me open this one. The brand that I liked is, or I used for my dad was, I don't know if he liked them or not, but the brand we used was Hollister, like the city in California. And they're just like a condom. And wait just a second. They come in sizes. And if you're an unfortunate daughter like me who had to find out what her dad's penis size was, go for it. And maybe you spouses will have an easier and more fun time of it. It was certainly not fun for me. But just a little cardboard thing, and you put the penis here, 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 and see which size works the best. And this at least comes in from small to extra large, I think, just like condoms do. And it just rolls on just like a condom does. Then there's a tip here at the end, and you buy a bag, and a bag comes with a tube. And so this can go on a super convenient, if it works, super convenient to go on at night for nighttime incontinence. So you would attach a bag, and then there's a tube in between, and the bag might clip to a bed rail or just be on the floor at the side of the bed or something. And so urine just drains from the condom catheter down the tube into the bag. Super convenient.
Were you pretty successful? Did they stay on pretty well, or is
They
that?
did not work for my dad. My dad had something called a retracted penis, which apparently is somewhat common for older men. As men get older, the penis retracts into the body. So we tried also from Hollister something called a retracted penis pouch, and I will put a link to that in the chat. And and this, by the way, the condom catheter, you can get them, this particular one doesn't have it, but you can get them with what's called sports tape. And it's tape that goes around this end, the body side of things. But that even wasn't enough for us. And the retracted penis pouch didn't work either. The retracted penis pouch, you actually have to shave the hair off of the scrotum. So we used a regular electric razor for that and shaved the hair off. And even that was not sufficient to us. So we finally gave up and went to an indwelling catheter.
Yeah.
It seems pretty inconvenient just for somebody who might be turning around at night and so
Yeah.
many things to pay attention to besides, wanting to get up or lie down or what, like a
My
lot.
father-in-law recently, I recommended these to my father-in-law recently, and he used them, and he was a tosser turner. He recently passed away. He was a tosser turner in bed, and this would prove to be not an issue for him. It stayed on
Really?
him, no problem at all.
That was the
Yeah.
same with my dad too. We tried all kinds of things, including the bedside urinal, and none of them really worked. But the condom catheter, he didn't like wearing Depends. He just didn't like that idea. So we compromised by using the condom catheter, and that worked really well. Very few accidents, very few problems. And then he slept most of the night. He realized he didn't have to get up, and it really helped him sleep.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
And the condom catheter can be, I mentioned there's a tube, a plastic tube, and that can, rather than attaching it to a bag that's at the side of the bed or on the floor, you can also attach it to a bag that's strapped to the leg. And there's a very comfortable strap and also from Hollister, a very nice leg bag that's very smooth and doesn't, it feels nice against the skin, and it could just strap on the skin. So that way when they're rolling, they're bringing the bag with them. And we found it very convenient.
Yeah, we used to, that was called the day bag. When you'd go out, obviously still had to have, Bob had a Foley, but we change bags basically. You have your night bag and your day bag,
Yeah, and was the day bag strapped to his leg?
when we were out. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't have to reinsert the top of the bag into the penis again? Does that get dirty and you have to replace it every day or what?
No,
No.
no.
No, the Foley, we're talking about two separate things. I don't know about the condom catheter, how often that needs to be, basically replaced. But the Foley is something that the doctor, it's an indwelling thing that you have to go to the urologist or whoever does it. Hospice can do it too. And that is an indwelling device. And then you just change the bags at the bottom. It's connected to a tube, and that's what gets changed out by, you at home. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and the condom catheters, Medicare would pay for $30 a month.
Oh, wow.
And, so you normally would change it out every day. You could change it out more or less frequently if you want to. They're very inexpensive, I think 35 cents each. And that's probably on the high side. I'm sure if you buy them in bulk, they're much cheaper than that.
Thank you.
Yeah. So the next thing up here is a disposable toilet floor mat. So
Yes.
we've got that.
Yeah, one of our group members said that she has marble floor around her toilet and the urine was ruining it. And she tried regular, carpet sort of style mats, and they didn't quite work. And she was always washing them. They were always a mess. And she found this disposable one. The best price is through a web restaurant store. So I'll put the link here. It's gray, pretty nice looking, 23 by 22 inches. And it comes in a package of 6 they're about $10 a piece, but if you buy the case, they're $39 for 6. And it just was so totally worth it for her to just pick the thing up, throw it away, and get out another one at a certain point. The only difficulty was that the ones that she found for a decent price only came with a square front. And most people have a round toilet. She happened to have a square front toilet, so it was perfect for her. But you might look on Amazon and see if there's some that have a round front, if that's the shape that you've got.
Okay.
She loves them. They're not cheap, but she loves them.
Yeah.
I have those, and they work wonderful. And they
Can you
last
take it-
they
Go
last
ahead.
for a couple of weeks, 3 weeks sometimes. I had one that when I started using them, he stopped dripping on the floor. And I used it for almost 4 weeks.
Wow.
We do have a round toilet, but it seems to work okay. You can pretty much push it up flush against the front. So
I would think, does it move around a little bit, Joyce? I was worried about that.
no, they
It's got
don't.
kind of a rubbery bottom.
There's
on it.
kind of a like a rubbery back underside.
Cool.
And as a matter of fact, the other positive feature is I find my husband knows where to position his feet based on where the mat is on the floor.
Oh,
So that's a helpful marker for him.
bonus.
Right. So visually it helps him. That's awesome. Yeah.
And I would think if you've got a round toilet and a square front, you could probably, if it wanted to move or not stay close enough for you, you could probably use a little bit of painter's tape on the toilet edge to keep it up and in place.
Well, there's on the mat, there's a little lip that sits up against flush up against the front of the toilet.
Okay, so it's
and
up like that.
Where the corners are cut out, there's a little bit of floor space here, but I find the actual front of the toilet, it works well for us at this point.
Cool. Awesome.
Joyce, does it have some way of controlling odor, or, it could get soiled, I imagine, but what's in the product to keep it from?
I'm trying to remember if they're deodorized or not.
I don't see that it says it's deodorized. It says features an orchid zing fragrance.
It has a fragrance, yeah.
Orchid zing.
But I keep a fragrance thing in our bathroom. I have a scented candle in there that
Okay. So it works.
takes care of that.
Okay.
Do
So
those come in other colors by any chance? Hi, this is
No.
Elizabeth. No, okay. Because I've heard that if it's darker colors, the person might think that it's a hole or kind of be hesitant to step on something that's darker. Is that true? Has
Oh.
anybody had that experience?
It's
So this one is a light gray, so it doesn't look like, I wouldn't think it looks like a hole.
Okay.
I could get one and show you. I have a box of some unused ones. I won't get the used ones out this.
well, should we move on? And then when she gets back, we can take a look at that. So the next thing we have is a quilted washable incontinence pads to put on underneath or at the on top of the sheet, I guess, and mattress. They come in many sizes, and Robin has
Put
some.
it on top of the sheet, or on top of the fitted sheet, or under the fitted sheet. On top of the fitted sheet would be great because it would maybe save the fitted sheet, but sometimes people put it under the fitted sheet just to make sure it keeps in place. But this is a particularly large one, and I like the large size. And what I really liked about them is that they're washable, so you're not, using those disposable kinds all the time. And they clean up really well. I don't know how many times urine was on this one, and it smells fine to me. So you just bleach the hell out of it, and it's fine the next time. And this one's lasted through my father and my father-in-law. So I have many of them, and they've lasted a very long time, and they're super durable. So I'll put a link to one of the products in there.
Yeah.
The other great thing about those is that they can be used as draw sheets to position the person when they can't move very much. So a lot of times when they get into bed, they might be too much on one side, or they tend to gravitate towards one side or the other, and you can use that to reposition them on the bed.
Yeah, that's a great tip.
Yeah, idea similar, the flannel backed, flannel on both sides sheets that you get at the yardage stores, and for in the chairs at the dining room or the living room, do a smaller size. And then for in the bed, I did like almost a full size, but put it over the sheet, and they don't move around like the paper ones. You have to put the paper ones under, but these stayed in place, and I didn't have to change the queen size bed every time there was an accident.
Yeah.
So Joyce, do you
they,
have that bath mat?
Yes, I do have.
Toilet mat?
This is the bottom side. It has a black, little bit stickiness to it. It does not slide once it's on the floor. This is I don't know if you can see that, the side that faces up. There's a liner between the backing and the top. The top is you can see it's like a grid. So if there's a urine leakage, it soaks into the inner layer. That's the absorbent layer. It is cut for a square base, but as you can see, this bends down and it will hug against the toilet front of the seat.
Yeah.
And I buy a box of 6.
Okay, great.
Nice.
The other advantage of this is I used to use those U-shaped mats on the floor around the toilet. But after a few washes, that back rubberized material starts to flake off.
It goes
And
everywhere.
my washing machine does not recommend anything with the
Rubber.
that type of backing on it.
Mhm.
So
with the,
Guys, I'm gonna have to go.
okay.
And I did want to give you a couple of hints before I go.
Sure. Go ahead.
The spoon with the large handle. Yeah, normally we hold a spoon this way. The handles can sometimes be too big, so they make forks, spoons, everything that have this kind of a handle, and it's easier for them to grip, or they may end up going this way. The other thing that I wanted to mention is that there is a plate rim that would make a edge around the edge of your plate. So when they're scooping, they don't push it off the edge of the plate.
Right.
And that keeps them being able to feed themselves much longer if they can scoop it in without getting it all over the
table.
Whole house. And then the bib, don't call it a bib. Yes, Robin, very good. Don't call it a bib, call it a clothing protector. But yes, they make them very big.
Yeah.
There you go.
And that was very helpful too. And I recommended that to a friend just recently and she's delighted.
Yeah.
But call them a clothing protector.
Or you can call it an apron.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Aprons for that same use, you know.
And I've got to go.
Okay.
Thanks,
Love to all of you. Hugs, hugs.
Great to see you.
Bye.
Can I just say that I like the apron idea, but I wish that they would make an apron that had a cup at the bottom.
They do.
Wait, I mean,
Well,
a nice big apron, not just one that comes to the chest. But
I'll
one that
look.
comes down to the waist, that if the stuff drips down, it
Yeah,
gets
I'll
caught
look.
in the bottom.
Seems to me
They
I
make-
see one of them.
Yeah.
I used to have one that had a little pocket at the bottom that
Yeah.
all the crumbs and things would go into that pocket.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I
I'll
don't
see if I
have
can
that
find one
anymore,
for you,
but-
Barbara.
Or you
Um,
could make them yourselves, girls.
It's on my
True.
free time.
I was
Yeah.
just gonna say an inexpensive thing if for a plate with a vertical side on it so that they have something to push their food against is a quiche dish. If you have one of those, or a tart dish.
I've got one.
Yes, there you go, Joyce. It doesn't come back around like the one that Robin showed, but that's good in a pinch.
Yeah.
It is. It's got like a 1-inch straight ridge around it and they can push the food up against it and it doesn't end up on the floor and the table. Yeah,
Right.
that's what we use.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Okay, so Incontinence Briefs, we've gone over that, I think, for the most part, right, Robin? You don't have anything else to add on
Yeah.
that? Pre-moistened, rinse-free, disposable. washcloths.
What do you recommend for women?
Oh, sorry.
And for women and mild incontinence, what do you recommend?
Probably just depends, right?
Yeah, I would say depends, or I think, was it Tiffany mentioned earlier, the Pure Wick system? You could look into that. Denise posted the link. I think it's purewick.com maybe. And
purewick@home.com.
Oh, okay, purewick@home.com. There are bedside urinals that are designed specifically for women, so the opening, of course, would be a lot larger. So that would be an option too.
Or a bedside commode.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's like, small amounts, not big
Well,
amounts.
then I would try one of these kind of pads. And I just found one online from Nextwear that are men's or women's, these kind of pads. I think that would probably be the best place to start with.
We tried something, but it was like too big, she said. So now you get into sizing, but they don't have nice cutouts for women that say, here's the size. Or at least I couldn't figure out how to do it.
It's very true. Our 90-year-old next door neighbor called my husband a couple weeks ago and asked him for a favor. Could he go to CVS and buy her some incontinence products? And it turned out that she wanted one of these kind of pads, but with a certain kind of cutout. They were called wings. And a certain cutout specifically for ladies' bodies, I guess. And she said there were like tons of choices. And indeed, he went to CVS and said, there are like 5 different choices for.
That's like feminine hygiene products have those.
Yeah, similar, but these are marketed as feminine incontinence products. So.
Yeah, so that's the right thing. But then how do we figure out the size? Because she doesn't like wings and these are too long. And it's like,
yeah,
how do we get the right thing?
I think there's a difference in the absorbency rate between the menstrual products and the incontinence products.
I'm sure.
There is something, Keith, called double ups. I don't know if you've come across those before.
No.
And they're about, I haven't used them in a while, but they're about 3 inches across, and then they're fairly long, maybe 6 to 8 inches long, but they're very thin, so you can't feel them. A person can't feel them when they're being worn, and they're meant to be used as a supplement to a regular diaper. So if your person doesn't make it quite through the night, without leakage, you can add this double up supplement. But maybe your wife could try using just those, because you really can't feel them. They're very thin.
Okay.
And I did find that bib. The brand is Leifu, L-E-I-F like Frank, U like uncle. And it's a cloth at the top with a Velcro connector behind the neck and a silicone pouch at the bottom. And it looks like it comes about down to the waist.
Great.
And it's available on Amazon, probably for the best price.
Oh, yeah, he has one of those, but it falls outside. Doesn't come down to the waist. It just comes down to the chest. Doesn't come down to the waist.
Maybe it depends on how tall the person is that's using it. There's another one. I put the link on the in the chat. It says it's a crumb catcher apron. It's hand sewn, available through Etsy, and it's a full length apron with a pocket, and then the pocket goes way down to the bottom of the thing. So you could take a look at that and see if it might work for you. It's wide. It goes. The whole thing goes all the way around the body.
They do make clothing protectors with snaps that snap up to create a little crumb catcher at the bottom, and they can come pretty long. My mother has some from Amazon.
Okay, good to know. Okay, so moving on here. Let's see. My thing jumped up on me. So the washcloths, the pre-moistened, disposable, washcloth.
Yeah, just to be sure everybody knows about these. We didn't know about them until later on, but at some point, I always recommend people stop taking their family member to the shower or to the bath because it's exhausting for them and can be very dangerous and exhausting for you. And so when I discovered these, they're pre-moistened, rinse-free, ultra-thick washcloths, and this is a brand we like, Sage, S-A-G-E, and I'll post a link to, or Denise can post a link. We really like these. They come in all different sizes, and we use a very large size, and you can throw them in the microwave for like 30 seconds to warm them up. And it's just so nice. And you just give somebody a bed bath with these washcloths, super handy. And similarly, one of the other products I wanted to mention is called No Rinse Shampoo, and there's No Rinse Bathing soap. And you don't have to rinse, so you don't have to get a lot of extra water or anything. You just squirt this on a lightly moistened washcloth or nice and fuzzy towel or something. And it's great for bed baths. I wish we had stopped taking my dad to the shower long before we did. And similarly, also from Sage, there's a shampoo cap, and you can also throw this in the microwave. And it's just like one of those regular shower caps, but it's got no rinse shampoo in there. And so you stick the maybe a heated up bathing cap, a shower cap on the person's head, massage it in a little bit, and then take it off after a couple minutes, and the hair smells so nice and fresh, and it's totally clean. This is just a fantastic product when you can't go to the barbershop or the beauty salon anymore. It's so very helpful.
Excellent. Okay, so all right, so we covered the plates, and we're moving on to the eating gadgets, mealtime gadgets. Robin, you want to talk about the Hormel Thick and Easy prepackaged
yes,
liquids and meals?
Yeah. So Hormel, the chili
Right.
company, they make a bunch of pre-made thickened liquids. I think this one is thickened milk, nectar consistency milk. And this one is nectar consistency water, and they're pre-thickened, and these are great to have around for trips or something, or if you're leaving the house, just to have easy things available. If you don't have thickener and something to stir it with, a spoon and what have you, these are just super handy. And they also make, Denise, if you could post a link, they also make pre-packaged meals that are thickened. So
Oh, wow.
those would be very handy as well. And then a very simple gadget that I wish we had known about before we needed it was I don't have a big example, is a syringe. We bought a bunch of just small plastic syringes, or you could get a big syringe, and they don't have a needle at the end. It's just plastic. It's just a hole. And when when it became really hard for him to open his mouth, we found these syringes, a fantastic way to get at least a little bit of liquid in him. And it wasn't a huge ordeal, like opening the mouth all the way and using a spoon, for example. So an eyedropper would also be another easy choice, but this is very good, especially obviously more towards the end of life. Is very handy to have.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you. All right, so for dressing, we've got some good suggestions. There's a device Marcia was going to suggest for getting pants on. Sometimes it's used for sock assist or for socks as well, right? Isn't that what that?
Yeah, I'll share the link for her device to get pants on. Let's see, here's a device for pants on. She found that very handy.
Can you describe it?
Let's see, it looks like, I went to that link, it's called miracledressingAid.com. I went to the link and it's this gadget that you stick the two pant legs kind of into and you put it on the floor, and then the person's more easily, they don't have to bend down or anything to get to the floor. The pant leg is already open for them and they just stick their foot in. And then the aid can assist in pulling up this gadget that pulls the whole trousers up with them. And so then the aid can help the person stand up and the trousers can easily come up. So it's mainly for avoiding the whole balance issue of, standing on one leg and to put the other leg into the pants, into trousers. So it's kind of a cool gadget.
Okay. And then there's the Kissic hands-free shoes.
Love these.
Do you? Well, tell us why.
Oh, do you have them, Joyce?
Yes, we have them.
Yes, you tell about it. You've lived with them.
They are a godsend, believe me. I found I was breaking my back struggling to help him get his shoes on and my nails. And these are shoes that have, especially the heel is made to collapse. So they slide their foot into the shoe and the heel collapses. They slide their foot a little forward and the back of the shoe, the heel of the shoe pops back up. And the first time you put the shoes on, they look like regular sneakers. You adjust they have laces. You adjust the tightness of the laces and he can put his shoes on and off with ease.
Oh, that's nice. Well, Skechers has, I got them at Costco. I mean, for me, not for my husband, but you just slip your foot in these and you just pull up the back and it kind of has that same, it's not designed that way, but the heel collapses. So I know exactly what you're talking about. The back of the shoe folds down, foot goes in, and then you just pull up the back of the shoe.
Yeah.
If you go on their website has a video that explains how the heel of the back of the shoe collapses so you can slide your foot in.
Okay, great.
We're getting a second pair, waiting for it to arrive.
Awesome, great. Well, good. Yeah, that's an awesome thing.
What are they called? What are they called?
Kissic.
Kissic.
Link should be.
I think it's Kizik.
Kizik. Yep.
Yeah. They're not that expensive either. They were, well, the first pair we bought were on sale. They were $89. 99 was the regular price. And I think for a man's shoe, that's, in my world, if it works, it's worth it.
Yeah.
It's worth that price.
Yeah, it's for men's shoes anymore. I don't think that's outrageous at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's another brand of shoes that essentially does the same thing, but they are 50% more expensive than Kissic's. And everybody that I've talked to that has Kissic's loves them.
Yeah.
So why spend the extra $60,
Right, absolutely.
I may have to bail out, guys, but it's been very helpful. Thank you very much for all the information.
We'll miss you, Chuck. Bye.
All right.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
And here's the, Denise, if you could share the link to the coilers.
To the what?
Where's this?
These little studs.
They're great. I have them.
Oh yeah, well, you talk about them then.
Well, they're great because they stretch. You just put them in your shoes like regular shoelaces and they've just got all this give. So you just slide your foot in. And especially if you have like a sneaker or something, you can put the back of the shoe down. I mean, and then you just, slip your foot in because it opens up the top of the shoe. And then you can tighten them with those too. You just give them a little tug and they're just normal. They're great. They're great for kids. They're great for adults. Everybody. I mean, they're awesome. So, yeah. So,
cool. And the idea, at least as it was told to me, was that they can transform shoes with laces to slip-ons.
Right.
So you don't have to keep fiddling with the laces.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So you don't have to tie, you don't have to worry about tying laces. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's good for kids too. So, okay. So we had the big stadium blanket with,
Yeah, so one of our group members really wanted to get her family member outside, but felt having him sit outside would be too cold. So she got this giant stadium blanket. I put it in the chat, and it's just a really huge, kind of like a coat, but it's especially big. And you could put your arms in the sleeves or not, doesn't really matter. You could zip it up or not, doesn't really matter. And also has a hood. And she just said it was just super easy to have somebody sit outside and in this coat blanket and not get cold. And it's super convenient.
so
It's
easy to
not
get
hard
in.
to get on at all.
Yeah. Okay. And then, so now we're moving on to the voice amplifiers, which, is really important with all these disorders. So Denise, you want to talk about the Chatterbox?
Chatterbox is one that I've only heard about in webinars.
Okay.
So I'll put a link with them, but it's one that speech therapists have mentioned that you can use. And then the SheDo is the brand that our group member Pat uses. It's S like Sam, H, I, D like David, U like uncle. And SheDo has both wired and Bluetooth versions. So then you wear it on your body, and it has a microphone near your mouth, and it with the box is a speaker. And so then whatever you say comes out the speaker louder than you're saying it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So have you seen anybody use it? Have you heard what the quality is, or?
I haven't. In fact, I think Pat was using the SheDo brand, and they didn't use it for very long before his voice just got so soft and his disability so great that he doesn't use it at all anymore. But they thought it might help when they bought it because he was talking quietly and she wears a hearing aid.
Oh,
So
wow.
for a while they thought it was more that she couldn't hear him than that he wasn't talking loud enough. But always best, for as long as you can, is to do the speech therapy and
Right.
keep rejecting for as long as you can, because these are really just a stopgap.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
But I'll put them in the chat too, so you can find them.
So, and then talking about medication management, Dwight, a group member, was going to suggest the Hero. It's manage up to 10 meds for a 90-day supply. So I imagine, is that like a pill organizer would be?
It is.
Okay.
He's actually in my group, and he's mentioned it several times. He has actually, his wife has quite a few medications, and he has quite a few medications. So they actually now have two.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that's a little different than most of these is instead of, you buy the equipment and you also buy access for their help to help organize the pills. So they take all the pills you have and they put them in. It's a 90-day supply of medication.
So the vendor loads it for you?
Well, no, they send you the medications, but they coordinate all the ordering for you.
Okay.
So it makes it, when it's really complicated, particularly for all of us with Parkinson's meds, where today it's a whole pill and tomorrow it's half a pill and then it's 3/4 of a pill. It's pretty easy to manage, and the interface is on your phone. So you get reminders all the time when you're getting low on medication.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Which is very helpful. And it can also, if you wanted to, depending on your insurance, can also order the medications for you. So it will always ask, and then you give it the okay, and that goes off automatically. So he finds it really helpful. And with his wife now, she's on 8 medications. It handles up to 10 medications for a 90-day supply. So that's pretty good. I think the most my dad was on was about 15 medications. So we kind of, we'd have to have an expanded version. But he finds it really works well for him. He's just, of all the parts for his wife's care, that was the hardest for him, was trying to manage that. So
Okay. Great. Well,
And so the one thing I didn't really explain is you basically, it's a subscription model, so you pay a monthly fee for the access. So you pay for the initial equipment, and then it's about $30 a month for the actual medication.
Okay. Awesome. Okay, great. Thank you. And then, yeah, we've got a Med-Ready automatic medication dispenser. That looks pretty awesome too, with an alarm, and it's lockable. That was Celia, group member. She's not here. We could put the link up for that. It sounds like another version of the Hero. And then Robin, you want to talk about the mouth coat, dry mouth spray?
Oh, yeah. There's just a lot of times people are taking medications that make their mouth very dry, and mouth coat, MOUTHKOTE, has a brand of spray. It's just a spray bottle, and you spray it into your mouth. A lot of other brands. And Denise, maybe you can post a link that's there on our spreadsheet. So that's a handy thing.
Okay, and then stretching and exercising gadgets. Keith, are you still here? I can't, I see your name. Do you want to tell us about the styrofoam roller and what you use?
Yeah, this is nothing fancy. I don't know if you can see it here. I guess I should get rid of the background, but it's just a styrofoam tube that's 6 inches in diameter. It's pretty firm. A lot of physical therapists and athletes, they're widely available. This one was about $30. But Atsuko finds that if she lies on it before going to bed and after getting up, it makes a big difference. So before going to bed, it makes a big difference in how she gets up in the next morning.
Oh, really? Okay.
Straightens out her posture, straightens out her mood too, which is what I measure.
Yeah. Whatever works, right?
Yeah, and usually she can get up and down off of it herself. You just lie down with your back. Sometimes she asks me to help lower her down. She can always get up by herself. We just lay it out in the living room floor, which has a rug, so there's no huge falling risk, at least for her.
Mm-hmm. So did you get instructions like from a physical therapist to use it first, or just you guys just figured it out?
I forget how these things are pretty ubiquitous. A lot of people I know use them.
I know.
They're ubiquitous.
Yeah.
So I forget. I think she was doing Pilates for a while.
Okay.
And so she bought this as part of the Pilates paraphernalia.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was sitting around the house, and then she decided to try it, and she decided that it worked.
Okay, great. Well, good.
So it's one of those $30 things that makes a big. It's like a little like sandboxes, right, for kids. The cheap investments usually get the most bang for your buck, and the expensive stuff just drains your bucks.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks. Okay, and then the Recumbent Trike, I know that, or bike, we had many support group members in the MSA group that their loved ones have used the Recumbent bikes. They're usually the stationary ones, not the ones that, you'd actually take out on the street. But although there was one support group member whose husband did use the recumbent bike out, and he would actually go out on rides, which was kind of interesting. But anyway, they're great because you can lay back and it's a more comfortable position. So it's that reclining position, but you're still getting the exercise, able to move your legs. And it's a really good form of exercise for, for people that have trouble sitting up, or if you've got back issues, it's a great thing to have. And they run, you can get them used. I know people on Nextdoor, I've seen people that have, are trying to sell them. So, they're pretty easy to come by. So
what are they called? And
recumbent bike, stationary recumbent bike.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And then we did have Mamie was going to talk about the pedal exerciser. I don't see her here.
Oh, she's here, Barney.
Oh, Marnie, I'm sorry. It was a
Hi.
typo there. Sorry
So this
about that.
the pedal exerciser. So it's kind of the budget model, super budget model of the recumbent bike. So it's just a pedal exerciser, which can be used two ways. One is to put it on the floor while the person is seated, and then they can use it as a kind of bicycle, just like that, with their feet. And there's adjustable resistance. And when I put it on the floor, I mean, to stabilize it, you might want to put the front against a wall, or I put weights. I put a 25-pound weight in front of it, so it's a little more stable. And the other way to use it is on a table or ottoman for the arms, and just to get the arms going and range of motion and just some kind of exercise. So these are about, what the physical therapist told me is, don't buy the ultra cheap one that's like $16. You want to pay around the $30 price point, at least for these. It's more durable and a little more hefty. So anyway, that was the recommendation. This one is made by Drive, which makes a lot of products for disabled people. And we've used it for a long time. So, and it keeps count, so you can kind of set a goal and set a goal of how many reps to do.
Okay, great. Yeah.
Nice.
Okay, so, and then there's other tips now.
What do you think about concluding our meeting here? And then if we would like to have another meeting for tips and other resources, and we can include the ones we collected in our email.